Okay. It looks like it's actually going. Now that we've finally got it up here, we'll do this. We'll just wait for. We'll give it a few minutes for stuff to kick in.
Cool, cool, cool. You let me
We,
know.
you got every. You watch all the trailers.
I did indeed, I believe.
You even watched Visions as well.
I watched Visions. Yes. I had
you
no
sound you
I had
sound
no idea.
so enthused about it.
I had no idea what was going on, but
Well, I mean, I think that's like a similar thing to like what we had going on with like the first like
yeah.
Vision stuff, right?
Excuse me.
Jeez, bless you, man.
Yeah.
I had to like, add everybody on the server.
Are we
That's
YouTube live?
we're YouTube live. We got
Yee!
Samuel Worrell, dude. I feel like it's been forever since I've seen you. Jeff is up next gaming, dude. Pleasure to have you here as always. It feels like it's been so long since I've seen some of you dudes. Bespin, dude, absolute champion, showed up for a Fallout stream and for a Barb's Basement stream.
Oh yeah, he did.
Zim, my good boy, what is going on, dude? Hopefully the cannibalism has been nice. It's been a while. But yeah, I mean, so Zach and I were talking a little bit before we actually started the stream, and I feel like Zach's like come to an all-time low.
Me?
Dude, you for sure are like at your all-time low about caring about Star Wars products. But I figured we would go through like sort of, I guess, should we go through I'll go through like a really brief recap of like what happened at Star Wars Celebration.
Do that. Because honestly, I didn't pay that close of attention. So
We're a Star Wars YouTube channel too.
yep.
Imagine. Yeah. But so yeah, over the course of the last weekend, and JT and some of those homies were over there in jolly old England at Star Wars Celebration, and they looked like they had a great time. Everyone looked like they were having fun.
They
Hayden
were over there?
Christensen was there. Yeah, Hayden Christensen was there, and he was. By the way, there's two different streams now for some reason. Dude, fucking StreamYard was like really screwing us over there. But yeah, Hayden Christensen was there. He was crying, having a good time. Dwayne, what's going on, my friend?
Crying? What is he crying?
Well, because like everyone was like cheering at him and stuff like that, and he was like overwhelmed and feeling. Are you drinking milk?
It was a root beer float, actually.
I was like, dude, dear God, I was like, you're an adult and you're drinking milk.
We just chugging a glass of milk.
Just some straight vitamin D, baby.
No, we've been into root beer floats lately. It's a bantha float.
What a time to get into root beer floats.
Right.
We are going into summer, we're going through spring. But yeah, anyways, back to like the Star Wars Celebration stuff. They showed like a bunch of trailers, and there was a lot of, I think it was like Saturday, maybe it was Friday, like they like announced a ton of like brand new movies, which
that's what I'm most excited for.
Yes, I feel like that's a step in the right direction. I feel like that's like a good way to, just dip their toes back into the market. And I noticed that they didn't name the new Jedi Order movie Star Wars Episode 10. And I wonder if that's because they're like, we're just going to see how people feel about it first. And if they like just, try to like jam their fist down our throats, and maybe like we'll take a step back. And
I know, I'm glad they're not doing that. So
you're glad that they're not naming Episode 10?
Yeah, totally. That's just stupid. Like,
okay, but going back to the recap portion. So they announced 3 new movies. So they're doing, Dave Filoni has a brand new movie coming out, which I'm sure people are gonna have a lot of opinions on that. From my understanding, it's gonna be like his version of Heir to the Empire. So the first Thrawn book.
Okay.
And then they're making a new Jedi Order movie, and then a Dawn of the Jedi era movie as well. And I'm not super familiar with Disney Canon's version of
Dawn of the Jedi.
the Dawn of the Jedi era.
Okay.
My assumption is going to be like 25,000 years before still. I'm on vacation, but wanted to pop in and say hi and have fun. Reagan, love you, dude.
Hey, Reagan.
Appreciate you. You mentioned in your video that you feel kind of burnt out on Star Wars. I've been in the same boat, having been on the Elder Scrolls crave for a couple months.
Elder Scrolls is great. Brian hates it. Brian loathes Elder Scrolls.
I just don't like medieval stuff. But yeah, so
I loves Fallout.
They announced brand new shows as well. So like we're getting like the Ahsoka show. There's Vision season 2, which I'm hyped for that one because it's, if I don't like one, the episodes are like 15 minutes long, so who gives a shit? I can just move on from there. And then they announced the third and final season. Zach, are you ready for this one? You better hold it all in, buddy, because you're gonna get really excited about this next announcement.
Oh my!
They're making a third season of Bad Batch.
Wow!
I know, right? How exciting is that? It's so riveting that we're getting a third season of a TV show I didn't care about to begin with.
I don't think I've seen more than 5 minutes of that show just because I could. Am I a bad Star Wars fan? I don't know.
It's hard to tell. We're like in a bit of a gray area right now. So then they also announced Andor season 2, right?
I should give Andor a chance.
You probably should. Let's go Bad Batch season 3, Samuel. And I don't even mean to like make it sound like
we're just not into that.
Whoever that show's for, I'm sure they're having a great time. Right?
Those Samuel Wardles out there. No.
For all the Samuel Wardles out there. I mean, that's
the thing.
People are having a good time with it. That's totally fine. Like, I want people to have fun with the shit they're watching, you know?
Our time will come again, Brian. We will. Well, will it though?
I'm kind of afraid that it won't. It's like sort of where I'm at with it. Really quick, 1 second. I'm gonna actually post this new link on our community tab because StreamYard decided to completely bonus.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, the movies. I didn't really care about the trailers like the visual trailers we're actually seeing. The thing that I care about was what you said was the movies, and obviously we don't have trailers for those yet.
So the Dave Filoni one, I think that a lot of people are going to be pretty bitter about because I think that a lot of EU fans don't care for Dave Filoni like overall, just like as a dude.
Yeah.
And like the Clone Wars was just like sort of a shotgun, just like to all of the Star Wars lore prior to the Disney purchase. I mean, like even when TCW was coming out, like it was just like a straight up, they were just going through flamethrower, just like burning down all the lore that had come before it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think I've come to appreciate like what the Clone Wars is, and like it's been some of like the best Star Wars stuff they've made like in a while. But we've talked about this before, you and I, like personally. I just don't care about the Clone Wars anymore. Like I want to move on. I want to move past it, and I feel like I mentioned this in the video that I put up today. I feel like every single millisecond is accounted for between episode 2 and 3 at this point. We have 7 seasons of the Clone Wars, and we have Tales of the Jedi. They're also making Tales of the Jedi season 2, but that's an anthology show, so it's like, that could kind of be all over the place. Dude, thank you for stopping by. And like, I mean, like there's things that I liked in Tales of the Jedi. They're mostly those 2 Count Dooku episodes. Did you ever watch those?
No, I didn't actually.
This is the 2 most interesting episodes in that Tales of the Jedi season 1 was Count Dooku like getting his first taste of being like, okay, the Republic actually kind of sucks. Like maybe we should try and do something else. And then the second one is him killing Yaddle. So apparently Yoda didn't clap cheeks and they didn't have Baby Yoda. So I don't know where he came from yet. But
right.
Samuel, you feel bad for John Boyega. I mean, I feel bad for him to a certain extent. At the same time, he's probably like a multimillionaire now. So
hold on. Is he gonna be in the new Rey movie? That's the question.
First 5 minutes of that movie is not John Boyega, just the opening crawl. It's just John Boyega's Jedi. That's the first thing. That better be the first thing that it says in that movie, because otherwise, what is the point? What is the point?
I mean, they tease that so much in episode 7.
And then they teased it in episode 9, like the whole movie, Finn's like on the cusp of saying to Rey, "Hey, I'm Force sensitive," and there's that line that I believe he says it to Rose Tika, where he's like, "I think that this is gonna happen," and he goes, "It's just a feeling I have." And I was like, "Okay."
My God.
I was like, "So Finn's probably going to like be Force sensitive in this movie," and then we get to the finale of the movie, and I was like, "What the fuck?" It's like Finn is never like actually shown. He doesn't move a rock. He doesn't
But
have
have we heard? Is he signed up? Like, is he on board? Like,
the
is
last I've heard from John Boyega. Not, I mean, it's not like he's calling me, but the last like time I've seen an interview
Yo
with John Boyega,
Brian?
he was like, "Yo, what's going on? I'm British." He was like, he had a direct quote of his he said, "You're not gonna Disney Plus me." He was like, You're not gonna like reel me in with the Disney Plus show. It's just not gonna happen." Really
Yeah.
quickly, Zim, I wouldn't be against Disney Star Wars so much if they actually made it interesting. 2, didn't vilify me for not liking their products. And 3, trash the EU and the part of Star Wars that made me a fan.
Yep. Yep.
Yes.
We're with you there.
Yeah, I'm thoroughly in that same camp with you. And Zach and I, neither one of us are like, like shitlords that just like, oh, I hate women. Like, we're not like those types of dudes. It's just
Speak for yourself.
yeah. I mean, it's just episode 7 was a good jumping off point, and then 8 happened, and then 9 happened. But I'll say this about the movies, at least the ones that they're coming out with now, is them making a new Jedi Order movie. At least it's a bold move. I mean, you got to give that to like Lucasfilm is they got the balls, just the huge, throbbing, veiny balls to make another movie set in the sequel trilogy era.
Here's what I'm
And-
gonna do.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Here's what I'm
Go
gonna
for it.
what I'm gonna do though is they got me. They got me with announcing episode 7, and I was like, hell yeah,
I'm gonna
We're-
come.
we're getting more Star Wars, and the whole thing was just a total flop. So I am not gonna I'm gonna assume that this is gonna be bad. I'm just from the get go gonna assume it's gonna be bad, because then if it's like actually halfway decent.
If you go
Like-
in with the expectation that maybe that's how we should have gone into to Book of Boba Fett.
I mean, I guess those Vespas, man.
I mean, I'll say, I mean, like we were talking about. I will probably also be going into like the new Jedi Order stuff, like with the assumption that, man, fuck, they're like in a really tough spot because if they make episode 10, for all intents and purposes, it is episode 10. I don't care what they name it. It is a continuation of the Star Wars saga.
Well,
And it's
yeah.
close enough to the EU. People are going to be like, well, why couldn't this be Luke? And then if they just make it Rey is going to be like, the people are going to be mad that it's Rey. Like they're really stuck in a place like where no matter what they do, it's going to be
But
bad
if they,
news.
but we're like they've done what they've done, so they got to work with the choices that they've made as far as
The hand that they dealt themselves.
Yeah, the hand that they dealt themselves. They now have to play that hand. And I'm fine with the next Order of Jedi not being Luke, I guess, as long as it's like cool and fun and like
How would you feel about having Force Ghost Luke back?
fine.
But he's got that weird like bowl cut haircut they had in the flashbacks to the Jedi Temple in episode 8. He's not like the cool long-haired dude that we see in episode 9. And it's also a stark contrast between the way he looks in episode 8 to his Force Ghost in episode 9. Like these aren't even the same dude. But PMP, nothing could have saved Boba Fett. I mean, if they had made it a Robert Rodriguez just shouldn't have he should have never been allowed to direct anything in Star Wars. I'm on the books for like basically the entirety of my film going life, having never liked a single Robert Rodriguez movie. Oh, Luna.
Sorry, my dog.
I don't care what anyone says. His style is to make his movies and his shows like look low rent.
Sorry, who? What? Sorry,
Robert
who?
Rodriguez. He's the guy that directed Book of Boba Fett. Well, he was like the showrunner for Book of Boba Fett.
Okay, wow. So
Yeah, and
bad,
all
bad,
of
bad.
his episodes of The Mandalorian. Aw.
hello.
Is that how you try to for the online?
Besides rewriting the show. Okay, yeah, but like that's I blame a lot of that on Robert Rodriguez's style. Like his episodes of The Mandalorian, like he directed that one where I almost said Boba Fett, where Din Djarin goes to Tython, and it just
Oh,
looks.
you hated that one. You
I,
hated that
dude,
one.
I was like actually physically upset. Like, not to make myself sound like too much of like a nerd.
That's
rage, like,
because you played SWOTOR, and where you actually got to
that was
visit
what
like
there was somebody on Reddit who said to me, "Oh, you just care that it looks like how it looked before." I was like, I want to be rewarded for knowing something about the universe. And going into a show expecting to like be rewarded for paying attention, I feel like is not that much of an ask.
yeah.
Or am I crazy?
You're not crazy.
Right?
They're trying to gaslight you and make you think so.
I mean, like that's the whole. I like the part that I like about them. What they're doing with the new Jedi Order stuff is that they're at least building on their own mythos, and they're really doubling down on the sequel stuff, which is to a certain extent I have to commend them for that because I'm like, damn, dude, that's because to be fair, the sequel movies all made a shitload of money, regardless of like what
Yeah.
people think. They made a ton of money, and if
And
people,
they're gonna go with where the money's at. So
oh, I mean, like they have like no incentive to make, like they're not going to retcon the sequels. So our only path forward is just continue to make movies set in this universe. Which there's the new Jedi Order movie. If okay, so if they make this movie and they have Kip Duran, Lobaka, like we got all the same characters that we had in the original.
Duran.
I mean, you look, man. You throw Kip Duran into the new Jedi Order movie with Rey, and she's gonna deal with this dude who's like, "Oh, I'm a dick all the time. I'm super mean. Also, I'm possessed by a Force ghost. Now I'm gonna blow up some planets." I'd be into that. That would be. I'd be into that.
Do you think they would pull? I mean, I guess they're doing Thrawn, so they have pulled from.
They're not afraid to pull
some of the
from
older
Legends.
books.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not afraid to pull stuff from
They
Legends.
they just cherry pick whatever the hell they want to cherry pick, though. It's
that's why I'm saying like I think they're stuck between-
mostly none of it, except for somehow Palpatine has returned.
Yeah, they just did Dark Empire, but super fast. They speed ran Dark Empire. They went from not covering any Legend stuff to being like, we're just gonna do Dark Empire in the span of like 2.5 hours. But
Yeah.
if they just insert all the same Legends characters that we had before, I think that would also make people mad. So realistically, I don't think there's any way to like make these films without upsetting people, and that's I honestly I kind of commend them on that. I think that's like a pretty they can make something interesting with Rey, and it's set 15 years after Episode 9, so
15 years.
15 years after Episode 9,
Okay.
which would put it into like Fate of the Jedi territory, like that we had with the old EU.
Yeah.
And I mean, so Luke would have been like, fucking 80 years old nearly at that point in time.
So let's see here. Where did we land with the First Order and all that?
They became the Final Order, I believe, is what right
After 9.
during 9. Palpatine
Okay,
does the thing. He raises his hand, puts his hands up. It will be the Final Order, or it'll be a real rise of Skywalker.
So my question is are we gonna get First Order in these movies?
Like a First Order remnant.
Yes, because I kind of don't want that.
So what would you want this movie to be?
Just like something where I don't know, just a real like force struggle between like a dark side, light side. I'm not sure how exactly I would want that to play out, but I don't know. I feel
like it doesn't need to be like a galaxy spanning conflict. Like it can just be a small thing.
That's not what I mean necessarily, but like it kind of would be cool if somehow like
Palpatine has returned.
No, God. If they do that again,
a third time.
I am done. I am done.
More than you are so now.
Yeah. Oh, like don't even talk to me about it.
But I mean, I think that like if they made it like something smaller, like where it's like Rey is having like problems like teaching. Look, they just need to put Kip Duran in this. If Kip Duran's like possessed by a Force ghost, and it's just like kind of like a smaller, more contained story, like in the Outer Rim.
I guess
Like
my
maybe that could be good.
I guess my question is like they gotta incorporate like some type of like Sith or Dark Jedi. Not necessarily Sith, but
No,
like
I want the Sith back. I'm done pretending. Like people were all like, "Oh well, the Force Awakens, it's not the Sith anymore." Why? Why not? Why can't it be the Sith again?
well, Palpatine's like literally like the most Sith ever. So
He's the best one to do it.
hmm
What if they brought back Darth? I'm guessing you mean Plagueis.
Plagueis, wow.
I thought that's what Snoke was. What
Is
if
he-
what if it's
is
just Snoke again?
Is he Disney canon? I don't even know.
Yeah, he is because like I mean he's mentioned in Episode 3.
Oh, that's yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like that they wouldn't have a choice; they would have to accept. Yeah, I mean, even despite how much they wanted to, why not Rey encounters a newer Sith Empire? We would be getting into like SWOTOR territory, exactly like like how the Eternal Empire DLC, where a whole other empire was existing out in the
You
unknown
don't like
regions.
that. You don't like that.
I hate
do you?
it. I really don't like those Eternal Empire
I
DLCs.
kind of do actually.
You would, you freak.
I would.
You heathen.
I would be okay with that. Like, I know Vitiate is just like kind of cartoonishly evil, but
To be fair, the Sith are
don't know.
cartoonishly evil.
it's
So
yeah. Well, yeah.
they never said that in the film. So how the fuck are we supposed to know that? One of the many problems with shitney Star. That's pretty good. Shitney Star Wars. They don't give a fuck about world building. I mean, yeah, it's like one of like the biggest issues with the sequel trilogy is you have no sense of scale for like the First Order or the New Republic, because the New Republic. Zach, think about. Close your eyes. Bring yourself back to Episode 7. You know, the Starkiller base is booting up. They're like, here's the New Republic.
I can
Okay,
see
now
it.
that you've blinked once, they're all dead now. That's it. That's the gist of how much we see the New Republic.
Yeah.
So, as far as I'm aware, the First Order was like a group of 10 planets, and they blow up, Had Abaddon, blow up all the politics, and then they're just the main governmental body in the galaxy. I've said this before. Like my side's saying, there is no world building in the sequel trilogies because you have what's even going on in the rest of the galaxy. As far
Yeah.
as I know, this is like
Yeah.
a group of like one Imperial Star Destroyer, and then like the 15 ships that Leia had. That's it. As far as I
Yeah.
know, that's the gist of both the militaries.
Maybe everybody else in the whole galaxy has like totally moved on from this, and it's just like this fringe conflict between like these two tiny factions.
Well, like Grizz is saying here is like maybe it's like not a full. Maybe it's like a different. It would be hilarious if Episode 10, New Jedi Order, starts off, and they're all being brought into Coruscant for war crimes with some whole new government. They're like, "What the hell are you guys doing out there? You guys are blowing up whole planets. Exegol, what's going on there? Like 1,000 ships coming out from underneath like the planet's crust. What's going on?" Like I just feel like they can't do the New Republic again. We had the New Republic going on in The Mandalorian. That's been a pretty big story point, like in season 3. So they blew up the entire government with the First Order, and then the First Order takes over. The First Order gets blown up again, and then do we just get a New Republic?
I mean, that seems to be kind of even what Legends always went with, I guess. I mean,
To be
it's
fair, they changed the name of the government to the
Galactic
Galactic Alliance. Why did that like leave my brain? Because they wanted it to be the galaxy far, far away. Essentially, they wanted it to be like that acronym. How the fuck did Starkiller Base get built without the New Republic's knowledge? How did the First Order get so powerful? Why the fuck are they called the Resistance when they were the ones in power, being the New Republic? If memory serves, the reason why they called themselves the Resistance is because the New Republic, very intelligently, after there was a huge galaxy-spanning war with the Empire, like 5 years after that, they go, you know what? We're going to dismantle our entire military. We've solved it. The war's over. No more. There will never be another crisis again. Things went so well that first time when we didn't have a galaxy-spanning military, and so there was no New Republic military to fight the First Order when they started, stirring up their shit in the background there.
Where is this coming from? Is this just retconning?
I think it's in the Aftermath book. They're talking about dismantling the New Republic. Yeah, the New Republic fleet. And then in The Mandalorian season 3, which I don't think you're fully caught up with, um, they're dismantling the old New Republic fleet and all the Imperial Star Destroyers and stuff like that they
Oh
took
yeah,
over
yeah.
during the war. So like they're out there like stripping out, parts and stuff like that,
Hmm.
which seems incredibly short-sighted to me. And like it's another one of those things where they've written themselves into that corner
Yeah.
where they have
Yeah.
no choice but to, because in Disney canon, they're like, okay, 5 years went by and the Empire was completely gone. Like we totally fucked him up. Battle of Jakku happened, and the Empire just fully went away. And now they're retconning that with the Mandalorian, where the Imperial remnant is still out there in the galaxy somewhere, stirring up some trouble and causing problems for the Mandalorian and crew. So
I want the Imperial Remnant stuff to just be done though. Like no,
I get that. I understand where you're coming from.
yeah.
But that was like a pretty interesting era of the expanded universe where there's like all these Imperial warlords, and Thrawn comes in. He's like, "Come on, guys, I'm blue, right? You get it. Let's all be a team." And then, like underneath it, like realistically, the Imperial remnant before Thrawn was just kind of just throwing it out there and see what stuck. For the most part, like they were just taking over their own little areas of the galaxy. It wasn't until Thrawn came back along where they, really reignited and like had like a unified front.
Hmm.
We haven't gotten that at all in the new Disney canon stuff up until they're building towards Thrawn now, and I already know some of like the plot of what happens in the next episode of The Mandalorian. I already know what happens in the next episode of The
Are
Mandalorian,
you
and like
playing or are you just talking?
We're just chatting.
we're just chatting, we're streaming, chatting. It's kind of crazy to me that the new movie is set 15 years after the sequel trilogy. That's the same amount of time that passed from the original trilogy to the Hand of Thrawn duology. Pretty big time jump. Well, I mean, think about it this way. Like, I think that Daisy Ridley, like Rey, is supposed to be 19 in The Force Awakens. In realistically, like in real life, I think that Daisy Ridley is at least a little bit older than 30. So like, it kind of makes sense. Like the time jump, like Daisy Ridley will look that age, and like
How
it's something
dare
that, like,
you? She is immortal.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Daisy Ridley is absolutely gorgeous, very talented. But I would be interested to see if they do the same thing they did with Luke, where Luke had just made all the same mistakes that the previous Jedi had made, or if Rey's like, look, you can be in relationships and do all this other stuff, but you gotta make sure that you're not like getting too attached and causing a bunch of problems to the galaxy by getting possessed by Exar Kun. You know?
Yeah.
So I mean, do you have any more thoughts on like a new Jedi Order movie?
I
I know we're going all over the place, boys, but we're getting there.
you know, I will say that it's for one, it's Jedi, it's Force, it's lightsabers. We here I do not want them to mess with lightsabers though. Disney loves to do that.
How do you feel about the orange lightsabers in the Ahsoka trailer?
No, they look so bad, dude.
I already knew your opinion before I even sent you the trailer.
The original recipe, like just
Bone in.
the white core with the blood red like blade, like traditional, like Darth Vader. I mean,
the original.
the original, yeah, like. It's so classic, so good. Like, why do they have to mess with it? I didn't even.
The orange looks weird on screen, does it not?
No, yeah, it's just like it's too. It's like those AI that are so human-like, but just not enough human-like.
Like the
That
uncanny valley. Like it's
yeah,
just slightly
yeah.
off.
Yeah, that's how it is with those. It's like it just looks wrong. I don't know.
That's
I
like
don't
why
like it.
I thought that because the orange, like when it first popped up on screen, I was like, is that orange? I was like, I had to like
Honestly,
is that orange?
I just thought it. At first I just thought like it looked bad in that lighting. I don't know, but then I was like, oh yeah, this is like orangey. Cool.
Well, so there's a lot of like theories going around about like who those two Force users are,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you what mine is. This is my
Okay.
theory,
Okay.
and I
Oh
told
wait,
you
wait,
this.
who?
The two orange bladed.
Okay.
I shouldn't say Sith, but Force users. So I have a couple of theories. My first one is that sorry, PMP. He's a lightsaber originalist. He wants to reject modernity and to embrace tradition.
No, that is fine. I support anybody's personal lightsaber flavor. I'm just like so traditional with my taste in lightsabers. Like,
I mean, anytime we played SWOTOR, you were like, get that purple shit out of here. Like, if it was like a lighter shade of purple than like Mace Windu's purple, you're like, no.
I'm gonna say, I know you do like the white. I'm gonna say I don't.
Dude, I love the white.
I don't love white lightsabers. They're okay.
You're about to get slapped in the teeth.
They are okay, but
Dude, white's okay. Not to get too far off track here, but so my theory for who those two Force users are is that one of them, the older looking dude, I'm assuming that either he's going to be part of like a new Force sect, or he's going to be a Padawan who survived Order 66, because this is like the Mandalorian stuff like that like takes place like
they love to do that. They love
a Order 66 survivor.
Yep.
I think they really wore out their welcome with the Order 66 scenes like almost immediately. Like there was the one in Obi-Wan, which was pretty good. We saw like a little bit of it in the Mandalorian, and then this most recent season of Mandalorian, there's even more Order 66 scenes. But I'm assuming that he's either going to be from the weird area of space that Thrawn was at, and he's going to be like an Order 66 survivor, or he's a brand new Force user. But the gal that's in that trailer that also has an orange lightsaber, first off, she looks fucking awesome. I will say that.
Yeah.
Like completely white hair. She's got
Can
a little Padawan
Can we
brand.
bring up an image, or is that not possible here? I agree. I
just
thought
make sure that it's
just a still or something. I don't know, but yeah, no, I agree. I thought she looked cool. I mean, I thought the visuals all looked cool. I don't know. Are you excited for Ahsoka a little bit?
I'm excited for parts of Ahsoka. Like my big thing with that show is that I don't want them to just slide Ahsoka into all of Luke's roles in the EU. You know what I mean? Like I don't want them to just, well, this is Ahsoka's story now instead of Luke having to deal with Ron and stuff like that, because I know that people love Ahsoka, but I'm just going to say this. She's in everything. She's everywhere. She's in every single piece of Star Wars media.
And you are on the record, aren't you on the record saying that you're not even sure that she should have existed in the first place?
Oh, Anakin, the fact that the Jedi thought that it was a good idea to give that sociopath a Padawan is beyond all reason. Like, it's just insane.
Yeah.
Everyone knew Anakin. They've all met this dude. They're like, okay, we're going to give this guy a 12-year-old and see how things go.
Yeah.
Insanity. Just like absolute lunacy. So like I already disagreed with like, yeah, her existence in the first place. But I'm afraid they're going to like slot her into all of Luke's positions and make her the new Luke. But like my whole opinion on this dude is like he's going to be either Order 66 survivor, new Force user or whatever. And I think that him and that other gal that I'm assuming is like his sort of Padawan or whatever, my assumption is that they're working for this
go to the image of the girl.
I'm assuming it's going to be like this universe's version of Jorah Sabayoth, and you know who I think is going to be the Jorah Sabayoth for the Disney trilogy, right?
I forgot what you said.
It's for sure going to be Snoke.
Oh my gosh!
There's no way around it. There's no way around it.
Original recipe or like
is the best.
Garlic pickled Snoke, or like what flavor? What
bread and buttered Snoke?
Bread and butter Snoke.
Yes. So they've been because I know that you didn't watch any of like Bad Batch, right?
No.
Don't worry. I've watched. I've like gone through and like seen like what are the most important episodes of Bad Batch and skipped all the filler.
It just seems like more Clone Wars.
Clone Wars,
which I'm not.
Zach. Did you forget about the Clone Wars? In the last 6 months.
How could I?
In the last 6 months, did you forget that the Clone Wars happened?
Well, here's a show about it.
Here's another one in case you forgot. But yeah, we're getting sidetracked here. But so they've been dropping a lot of hints that they show Mount Tantus on Wayland, which is where Jorah Sabaoth is living in the Thrawn books. They go there, they meet up with Thrawn, and they're like, "Oh, you're going to be our wizard for this new version of the Empire."
Yeah.
So they've been dropping a lot of hints at. Oh my God, Zach's getting pulled off screen here. He's coming back.
Whee! Okay.
There he goes.
Here I am.
But they showed Wayland. They have cloning technology on Wayland. They have like one of the Kaminoans there. So clearly, what they're going to do is they're going to say, "We've cloned Snoke here, and that's going to be Thrawn's version." He's like, "Okay, we got to rely on a Force user here to make sure that the Empire wins the war. So we're going to rely on the Snoke guy, and we're going to be seeing the transitioning from the Empire into the First Order." And I think that part of me feels that what's going to happen is that Thrawn will be the one to make that choice. So Thrawn will go, "We're no longer the Empire. In order to have like a new unified front, we're going to become the First Order." That's what I'm assuming is going to be the case. And Snoke's going to be the dude that he's relying on. So that way, inevitably, whenever Thrawn dies in whatever, if he dies like in the Dave Filoni movies or something like that, Snoke will be like there to be like, "Hey, well, look, guys, I was doing a lot of wizard stuff and I was helping out a ton. So why not make me the supreme leader?" I feel like I can see like the architecture of those movies already
Do you
unfolding.
care about that though? Like,
Okay, they could make me care about it. If
Yeah.
it's good, if it's entertaining, I will be willing to watch it.
yeah.
But I'm kind of over like the TV shows and stuff. Like I want to see a movie. I want to go to the theaters. I want to hear.
I stand by the opinion that Star Wars is better in some formats than others.
You're saying it's
Movies,
better than the TV shows, is what you're saying.
Star Wars does better in movie format. Well, there is episode 9, so I don't want to eat my words here, but
And then Zach, you wouldn't know who this person is, but I think her saber hilt is Kanan's from Rebels. So Kanan's like he's like one of the main characters of Star Wars Rebels.
yeah.
Another Order 66 survivor. And
I know who he is, yeah.
yeah, so at the end of that, like I believe that Thrawn gives Kanan's lightsaber to somebody because Kanan dies at the end of Rebels. Spoiler alert for a show that I think ended in 2018. But so that's why I'm assuming like that these people are linked to Thrawn is because Kanan's lightsaber and Thrawn like gets jettisoned out into like the unknown regions or wild space somewhere at the end of Rebels, and so I'm assuming that he finds like these weird albino people who he's going to use to, sway Snoke into like helping him out.
Which is this girl?
I believe that because she's got the little Padawan braid. You see what I'm saying? Right, great. Look like right underneath like her headset there.
Oh yeah. You're right. Okay.
So my assumption, I think that when I go into full screen mode here, this like kind of kills my computer. There we go. But yeah, so I'm assuming that like he's some form of Jedi to some extent. I hate Disney Star Wars. Well, Mahmood, I'm still willing to give it a chance if it's interesting.
We kind of do too, Mahmood.
I mean,
to be honest.
Yeah, if I'm being completely upfront,
we're trying to give it the most benefit of the doubt that we possibly can muster. But
there have been like episodes in The Mandalorian season 3 that I've enjoyed.
The Mandalorian has always been
fairly solid. But I think that the Ahsoka show is just going to be building towards, from my understanding, what they said at Celebration, it's going to be building towards the Thrawn movie that's going to be like the culmination of the Mandoverse, like the TV shows and stuff like that. And Dave Filoni will be directing that one, and so I'm sure that a lot of people are gonna hate that.
Yeah,
because a lot of people don't like Dave Filoni. I think the guy is passionate. He likes Star Wars, and he doesn't care about Legends, which a lot of people. Let's be real here. Like EU fans are a dying breed. Star Wars is like it's the new stuff is like what people are watching. So
yeah.
I can see like why they're kind of moving past it, but it hurts. It hurts. It hurts my soul.
We're the last of a dying breed here.
Having the Thrawn crisis without Luke, Leia, and Han, I feel like they are going to have them in there. Like I feel like I mentioned this in the video uploaded today. If Ahsoka is just the Luke in the Thrawn trilogy, I'm gonna be completely clocked out. I'll be done. I will no longer care.
Want them to bring back Luke, Leia, and Han.
I want them to recast Luke because I don't want to have like CGI AI voiced Luke Skywalker as
Or-
like the
or-
main.
Or Han Solo, or
I mean, they already recast
obviously
Han
Leia.
Solo, so they can bring back Han Solo as the name of whatever the name of that other dude was that played him.
I mean, he did a pretty good job, to be honest. But
No, the Han Solo movie it's pretty good. It's not like the best thing I've ever seen, but it's not awful. So I think that if they brought him back and they recast Luke Skywalker and I don't know who they would get to replace Carrie Fisher because her biological daughter is already in Star Wars as a different character. She's already in episode, I believe, 7 and 9.
I mean that's okay. I mean, we can suspend our disbelief enough to like.
So what you're saying is we can't do a Star Wars. Well, we're not going to do a Star Wars theory thing. We're like, there's bricks and screws in this Andor scene. Therefore, I do not believe a single thing in the show.
Yeah, no, come on. It's like if they cast a younger Leia, like, yes, please do that.
If you're like these three actors or are the new main trio, I'm like, fine. That's totally fine with me.
Yeah, well, like as long as they're good, which I'm sure they would be, but they would be given terrible lines. I'm sure
They fly now. P&P, dude, I still believe we're getting a Luke show. I would be down for that. I would be fine if they did a Luke Skywalker show, because like we got a little bit of that in I almost said The Mandalorian season 2, but it realistically was Book of Boba Fett season 1, where Din Djarin goes to, I believe that's supposed to be Ossus, is like where that Jedi Academy is, and we see like a little bit of Luke, starting his Jedi school and stuff like that. I would be like, my mood sign right here, give it to Sebastian. It's Sebastian Stan as you're thinking of. The dude looks very, very, very close to Mark Hamill anyways, so why not?
Yeah, I really like that pick for Luke. I don't know.
Finn should show up in the new Rey movie. I mean, if Finn and Poe Dameron don't show up in the new one, like, what's the point? What's the point of making these things?
To be honest, I don't really care about Poe that much, but
he's so charismatic. He's got the most natural charisma out of all three of them.
Is he though?
Oh, 100%. Are you kidding me?
They kind of just wrote him as a dummy, honestly.
Well, I mean, in episode 8, they wrote him as a dummy for sure.
And 9.
He's way more of a dipshit in episode 8 than he is in 9.
Well,
because in episode 8,
yeah.
they write, what the fuck's her name? What's the name of like the lady with the purple hair in episode 8? General Holdo.
Yeah.
Because remember in episode 9, they're like, that was a Holdo maneuver. That's a 1 in a million shot. It will never happen again in Star Wars. Don't think about it. But in episode 8, they wrote Poe Dameron to be a complete idiot and to make Holdo the most unlikable human being on the planet. And then when it's revealed that she actually had this plan all along, like
that's just that's just lazy writing.
You can hear the screenwriters going, "We can't believe you thought that she was just a bitch, even though we wrote her to be that way.
You.
We tricked you. You thought that she was just a shithead. Turns out you're the shithead." So, episode 8, they wrote him to be the dumbest, slack-jawed, knuckle-dragging moron on the planet, and then I mean, so that's not in episode 7. He's clearly supposed to be an intelligent, cunning human being because he swoops in and just like mops the floor with all the First Order in his X-wing. That's the best scene in that entire movie is Poe Dameron showing up with his X-wing. I'm like, oh, like out of all the scenes that happened in that, like I didn't feel I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna cry when Han Solo gets killed.
Let me throw something at you. This is totally off the wall, but what if we get a dark side Finn in the new movie?
Because he's black?
No.
That's how they would sell it to China. They'd be like, "Oh no, the minority's he's the bad guy in this, so you guys can market this movie." No, I do get what you're saying though. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, he doesn't even have to like stay like he doesn't have to stay dark side. That could be like
just like I mean, Luke kind of dipped his toe in the dark side. That's what all.
Are you talking about like when he was Palpatine's apprentice in Dark Empire, or when he nearly killed Ben while he was sleeping?
Yeah, all of the above.
All of the above. Yeah. I mean, like, I think that would be like a good conflict throughout like the duration of. This is clearly going to be a trilogy of movies. Like, there's no way that it's not going to be. Like, it's going to be episode 10, 11, and 12. Like, let's just be real.
I don't want them to brand them as that, though.
I think that would be a wise decision if they didn't, but I think that in our hearts, we'll all know. We'll all know that it's episode.
I don't like that they even, well, kind of in hindsight, I don't like that they even called 7, 8, and 9 7, 8, and 9. It's like we have the OG 6, like leave the 6 to be the 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can make other trilogies, we can call them different things, but I don't know. Maybe I'm
I mean, if they just called it like the new Jedi Order trilogy or whatever, and I mean, that could
what's
be like
the problem with that? They make anthology movies and they don't call it like episode 2.5 or episode, you know?
Oh gosh, I didn't think of that. Without Luke and Leia, Han, and Lando in Card, I'm guessing you mean Talon Card, I don't think the New Republic would have survived Thrawn. Perhaps that explains some things. If they put Talon Card in this movie, I would be excited for it. Zach, I don't know how long it's been since you've read the Thrawn books.
Yeah, I liked him.
Talon Card, he's just the most card dealer man in the galaxy. He's working both sides. That way he always comes out on top.
He's read to sound like a Spaniard by
dude, Mark Thompson. He nails it.
Yeah.
I've said this before. He reminds me of the car. There's a car salesman in an episode of Futurama where he's like, "This is the Thunder Cuckoo Falcon bird." He's like, "It's got some bald eagles under the floorboards." That's what Talon Card reminds me of. What's Fizzy say here? I wish it was written that Poe Dameron was mentored by Wedge Antilles. Well, the problem with that is the dude that played Wedge like fucking hates Star Wars, so that's kind of the problem. Phasma somehow returned and is the big bad of Rey's movie.
No.
I did think that she was going to show back up in episode 9 and she was just going to be like the Star Wars' version of Kenny, just unkillable.
I never cared about. I realized that in other things she's like she was in Game of Thrones or
Gwendolyn Christie.
Yeah, I realized that she's a great actress.
She's one of the best parts.
But I honestly couldn't care less about Captain Phasma.
But again, they wrote it that way. That's their fault for.
Yeah, no.
She shows up. She does nothing of note.
What? There's no point. There's just.
She gets thrown into a trash compactor.
She's just there to be a dick to Finn, like a couple times.
Yeah, she calls him Chrome. He calls her Chrome Dome though. But that would be like
a great line.
Arc.
You can't argue.
Can't argue. They fly now. But if Finn like slowly falls to the dark side and like she's a Palpatine. Let's like keep that in mind. Rey is Rey Palpatine, and so she's trying to like kind of fight off like her own dark side aspects maybe, because it seems like a little bit of that's like kind of like built into like your relation to Palpatine. I feel like being like the cloned. Like, well, the granddaughter, sort of daughter of the clone of Palpatine, it's in you enough that, like, you would be fighting with the fact that you're Palpatine's granddaughter.
Can we get an anthology story about how that came about?
We're kind of getting that, like, I think we're building towards some of that stuff in, like, the Mandoverse and that latest Star Wars book, The Mysteries of the Sith. The clone of Palpatine gets a lot of play. He's in that book pretty heavily. And his life just seems... I will say his story in that book is the most fascinating part about it.
You mean it gets a lot of action?
I mean, he does... Rey's like 7 in that, so he did clap cheeks at some point. So, I'm guessing. I'm assuming they're not like... He's like a weird clone, so he just throws up an egg into her mouth, and that's like how they get pregnant or something. But... yeah, like his life, because he grows up like on Exegol, and it seems like pretty awful wall to wall. Because first off, like the whole planet's just like one giant force storm throughout its entire existence, and like the
Exegol is the most boring planet. Like, it's nothing.
There's like those like Sith dudes that are like chanting in the background.
Well,
that could have been interesting if like that was in episode 8, but
if that was like explained at all.
Like, I always wondered how the First Order got such a foothold. We just talked about the same thing, and there's absolutely zero world building in the new movies. Finn is Phasma now. Palpatine gives birth the same way the Demon King Piccolo does, just spits out a giant egg. He spends like 10 minutes going, trying to get it out of his mouth.
Oh my god.
Forget the First Order. Get the Star alignment. Dude, what?
Was there anything we missed? I might have to hop off here in a bit, but was there anything we missed?
I'll keep going on here for a little bit. So we went over the Ahsoka show a little bit, but like, yeah, that's good. They've already said that's going to be building towards Disney's version of the Heir to the Empire. And you watched the trailer, correct?
Yeah.
And did you miss this very subtle Easter egg for Heir to the Empire in there?
Very subtle. Extremely.
Where Ahsoka goes, he'll be the heir to the Empire. And she looks around, she's like, huh? Someone gonna start clapping? What's going on? It's like they isolate that one thing. It's ridiculous. But yeah, so that's building
They're
towards
doing
that.
Legends after all.
They're speedrunning Legends, but like I'm cool with that. We've gone over I feel like we've gone over like the new Jedi Order stuff, and I think that the only way they're going to be able to avoid like a fan revolt of that movie is just making it different, completely different from what we got in the new Jedi Order originally, because they're obviously not going to make the Yuuzhan Vong. Could you imagine Disney making the Yuuzhan Vong but for Rey, and we have like all this like weird body horror shit and like them implanting stuff in people?
I want them to do something similar, and by similar I mean just off the wall, like out of the box, something we haven't seen before. You know what I mean?
Give Rey a Gundam, like a giant mech suit.
There you go. There you go.
Something really off the wall. And then the other, we'll talk about this one a little bit here, is the Dawn of the Jedi stuff. This one, out of all the movies, this one's probably the one that I'm the most excited about, because it's not Heir to the Empire. It's not Disney's version of Heir to the Empire. It's not. It's set far enough in the past that they can really do whatever they want with it. Because my understanding is that even Disney's version of the Dawn of the Jedi era is still set like 25,000 years prior to Episode 4. So if they can't write something interesting that far removed from the Skywalker movies, I don't know what they could do to possibly make an interesting story.
Yep.
And like, I doubt they're not going to adapt the John Ostrander stuff from the original EU, but so they in the EU, the Jedi were born on Tython. That's like where like all the Jedi were sent with the Tho-Yor and like these giant pyramids that like transported all of like these various species and people from various planets and brought them to Tython. But in Disney canon, it's Octu, that planet that Luke is on, with the green titty fish mammal thing.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm assuming that this is they're gonna like be working out the process of what it actually means to be a Jedi throughout the duration of like that. I'm assuming it's one movie, like for right now. Maybe we'll get some TV shows and stuff announced like around the time that's being released. Mm-hmm. But are you familiar with like the first great schism in like the Star Wars mythos?
Which
schism is that?
which schism we talking?
So it was like when the Jedi Order had like their first like giant implosion, because you know that every time a Darksider comes out of every time a Darksider exists, it's because the Jedi just like they picked up a sociopath, and that sociopath ended up becoming a serial killer. And so a bunch of people who like use the dark side and stuff like that.
You think one of them would be able to like use their Force vision to maybe see that happening?
but they get out of that being the case by Yoda saying like, "Ooh, the future's always in motion," all that good stuff. But
right.
So basically, what the first great schism was that there was a bunch, because like the Jedi, the precursors to the Jedi, they use both light and dark side, and that exploded because that's literally impossible in Star Wars. It's not the way that the Force works. And so they end up having like a giant war, a bunch of them kill one another, and then the Jedi Order disbands and they become the Jedi Order. So they could like pull in elements from the Dawn of the Jedi comic books and just be like, okay, so we're going to have like the whole war of like the Jedi.
I think they're going to
become the Jedi. Yeah.
That's what I'm excited for. I don't care about anything that is really near or surrounding like Clone Wars, like Rebel Resistance, all that stuff. No, give us something new. I'm excited
do you think that's because
I'm excited for the Rey stuff? I'm excited for Dawn of the Jedi or whatever.
That's a good like, are you you're more excited for like a Rey movie than you are like another Clone Wars era show.
Oh, totally. No, ugh, I'm so done with Clone Wars.
Is that's a pretty like a ringing damn. Like they've like I because I love the
The
prequels.
reason they do that is because it's safe. Like it's an era that's known. People they can go look who it is. Like
it's Obi-Wan. You all know
it's
him.
safe. It's safe, and
Yeah.
I get it. That'll bring eyeballs because they're like Kenobi. We know that name.
That's the guy from The Thing. He's the one that did the flips. But I mean,
Give
like
us something,
they've
give us
just
something
milked
new.
that
I've
they've
said
milked
it.
that time era so much, and
Yeah.
like we got like some of like the Dark Times esque storylines
Yeah.
with Rebels, like Kanan like being a Jedi on the run and all that good stuff. But
Yeah.
I just care about the movies at this point, and I would rather watch the new Jedi Order movie than to watch the Ahsoka show. I think.
For sure. I'm with you. I am gonna peace out right there. That
Okay.
is my take. That is my whole take on all that stuff that came out.
Zaki Poo's got to get up early in the morning. He's got a regular job like a pleb.
Bye everyone. Are you hanging out, Brian?
I'll keep hanging. Yeah,
Okay,
I'll keep hanging.
I'm peacing out. It was good to hang
All
with all you. See you, Brian.
Later, homie. Yeah, now that nerd's gone, we can actually talk all the actual Star Wars stuff. But I mean, yeah, like I just think that none of my opinions are going to be like brand new to everybody. I think that it's going to be everyone's got the same more or less takes, and every time everyone alas must go to create more Kuiper relics at Bar's Basement. Thank you for what you do. May the algorithm smile upon you. Thank you, Elijah. Hopefully the Thrawn won't be ruined like he was in Rebels. I mean, honestly, I didn't find like Thrawn that ruined in Rebels. I don't know. Like I'm excited for a lot of because I don't want to spoil the stuff that like happened like during the episode of the Mandalorian that they had shown at Star Wars Celebration, because I don't care about leaks. I read all the leaks. I don't give a shit. I just who cares? So we now, dude, yes. Now we can talk about how awesome the thought bomb was. Yeah, Zach's got some pretty incorrect opinions, and that's one of them. But they're bringing in some more Thrawn elements that I think. Here's the thing: anything can be made good. That's like my whole point is, if they write a compelling story for Rey to have, if they write a compelling story in Ahsoka, I'll watch it and I'll enjoy it. But I think that Star Wars is suffering a lot from the. I just don't think that like TV shows are the best medium for Star Wars. I would love to have a TV/movie about the Mandalorian Wars. I mean, dude, that's like that's a pass to just print money. That's I think that would be like a huge boom for Disney to. I mean, if we get the Old Republic stuff, because like were promising a little bit of that with David Benioff and DB Weiss before the last season of Game of Thrones came out, and then they were very much fired from that project. But if we get something set like around that time period, like I think that would be like an interesting. If they just like literally adapted some of the events of KOTOR, like Revan doesn't have to be the main character because he's not even the main character in the comic books. So, I mean, you can just make 3 Zane Carrick movies of this dude who's just reluctantly forced to be involved in like all these greater things and he doesn't want to be there. And he's a very relatable character. I mean, like if I was a Jedi, I would probably be pretty shitty at it. Like I can relate to Zane in a lot of those ways. The E-Wing leak though. Was it a leak? Because I feel like that was like just like straight up in the trailer. I love Skooma in the Discord was like, people thought that Eckhart's ladder was thirst posting on the main because he had posted a photo of the E-Wing and people were like, oh shit, he's just posting a photo of Sabine's butt. Okay, I'm saying it. Dave Filoni ruined Star Wars. He's the origin point for every. I wouldn't say that. I think that out of all the products that have been made, like under the Disney umbrella, that Dave Filoni has made most of the good stuff. I think that the majority of the problems with the main trilogy of movies that came out underneath Disney can all be attributed to. I don't blame Rian Johnson. I blame J.J. Abrams. I think that it was mostly his fault. I mean, he like hard wrote canon into this corner where Luke had left the galaxy, and where else was he gonna go with that? Like, if he just made a movie where Luke was the complete opposite of everything they said he was in Episode 7, that just kind of negates the whole point. Let's see here. Kind of agree. The TCW had a ton of inconsistencies, contradicted itself. He was jealous of. I mean, I don't know if he's like jealous of it, but I think that he probably was given the directive by George to just don't worry about canon. Don't worry about the expanded universe. Just make the show that you want to make, and we'll go from there. I think that a lot of the things that he has made have been very enjoyable, and they're probably the things in the Star Wars Disney canon stuff that I've enjoyed probably the most. Most of the episodes he's done for like the Mandalorian and stuff like that have all been solid. At least acknowledge Johnson. At least Ryan Johnson acknowledged the prequels. That's one of my favorite parts about Episode 8 was where Luke says like they allowed Darth Sidious to rise to power, and all. I was like, holy shit, he said Darth Sidious. Like, damn, like this is like an actual. J.J. Abrams wanted to blow up Coruscant. He wanted to pretend like the prequels never happened because he didn't like them personally. So at least Ryan Johnson like acknowledged them, all because he wanted to relive his own childhood. Are we talking about Ryan Johnson? Or are we talking about who are we talking about? Because I think that Ryan Johnson was probably in his like mid-20s, like when the prequels were coming out. But the other thing that I wanted to bring up here is this universe's version of an HK droid. Those things are interesting to me. Like this whole part of the Ahsoka stuff is legitimately interesting. I think that like Thrawn, like if they have like Thrawn's fleet and all these other things showing up, and we have like these HK droids and stuff like that, they can really make the Imperial Remnant like an actual like force to be reckoned with, like somebody that you should actually have to be worried about encountering. But like this scene, like in the trailer, like I'm not gonna lie, this scene looked dope as fuck. Like just like the eyes locked down the enemy, like dude, top notch. Now he fucked up Mandalorians. They're idiots that get taken out. Upsized normal looking alligator. I mean, that was hilarious. That was just ridiculous. Dave Filoni was George's protege, or Padawan, if you will. Dave may have an overly fond attachment to some of the characters he's created, but I do think that he's given us the better content, hands down. I agree with that sentiment. I do think that. I mean, I don't give a shit about Mandalorians. Just like to be real with you guys, that's never been like my area of Star Wars. I'm assuming that that is going to be like the future models of the HK droids. It would be hilarious if they said like meatbag or something like that. But like this shot, like I quite enjoyed Rebels, and I think this is like a good look for like essentially recreating Rebels. But the Thrawn stuff, obviously, is like what I'm like mostly interested in. And I've seen like the leaked image of the way Thrawn looks. I will say this. The pupilled eyes for Thrawn still, it just does not sit right with me. It does not feel right for Thrawn to have pupils, because that's like something they even touch on like in the books, is like Pelion's not sure where he's looking. He's like, is this dude like peering into my soul? Or is he looking like off to the side or something like that? She reminds me of Lana Benko, the Dark Jedi, that Dark Jedi from the trailer. I'm wondering if like they actually are Dark Jedi, because I mean the dude is like clearly doing a force choke on somebody in this other scene, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're for sure going to be, I guess, Dark Jedi. Oh, dude, we didn't even talk about Mary Elizabeth Winstead being Hera. Dude, Mary Elizabeth Winstead was like everybody's first crush. They kind of look like the Magna Guard from the Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the HK series model we know and love was from thousands of years ago, so it would make sense. Yeah, like I would be fine with that. I'm going to get a red Sharpie and find Thrawn. He's filling his eyeballs. Yeah. J.J. Abrams wanted to blow up Coruscant because its association with the prequels is nonsensical. Coruscant was always a capital since 1991. Does Abram hate anything written after Return of the Jedi? Yeah, I mean, probably. That was... people forget like how common of a sentiment it was for people to dislike the prequels. Like, bar none. Like, that's... I mentioned, again, the video that I made today, like, that's something that I think that people are reconciling with now. And that's something that, like, I want to avoid as somebody who's going in and consuming new Star Wars stuff. Is I wouldn't want to make people feel bad for liking the things that they like, and I wouldn't want to make all the actors from all of the sequel trilogy stuff, they don't deserve to be like shit on the way that Ahmed Best or Hayden Christensen were, or Jake Lloyd. Like Star Wars fans, people who were old, like our ages now when the prequels were coming out, just shit all over those dudes. They just made it very, very hard for them to get work afterwards, or to like even show their faces in public. I think that if they make something good for the sequel trilogy characters, I'll like it. I will try to go in there and actually give it a chance for me to enjoy it. J.J. Abrams doesn't hate everything after Return of the Jedi. He hates everything after Empire Strikes Back. Damn, Skooma. That's some Chad Skooma shit. I would 100% agree. I mean, like I said, like if there's out of like I've said, the movies are like what I'm the most excited about. I'm legitimately more excited for the Rey and New Jedi Order movie than I am for the Ahsoka show, probably. That's absolutely fair to do. The prequels are filled with inconsistencies, plot holes, bad dialogue, etc. But the world building, saber fights, and some of the casting decisions were great. I have been on record on streams on Barbara's Basement. I think that Episode 1 is my favorite Star Wars movie out of all of them. Episode like Phantom Menace, it still has like that air of like lightness that maybe the prequels, like going into the prequel era, like that's kind of like the vibe that I thought that we were going to be getting throughout all those movies. And Episode 2 is a little bit like that. Then Episode 3 takes like a hard right into child murder. But yeah, I mean, like I think that it's like I can just put that movie on and just have a good time, like experiencing it, because it's just a fun romp. And I think that the Jar Jar Binks stuff really is not that bad. Like you got to keep in mind that these shows are intended for people of all ages. They're not meant for edgy adults necessarily. The sequels had none of it. Both JJ and Ryan suck. JJ wanted a New Hope without building it up. Ryan never finished watching The Force Awakens. Clearly hates Star Wars. So he wrote JJ. No. I will defend Ryan Johnson in this scenario here. J.J. Abrams 100% wrote him into a corner. And then Ryan Johnson, out of all, honestly, I'll say this, out of all the sequel trilogy movies, The Last Jedi is the best one. Like, it just is. Like, because the stuff that from The Force Awakens is barely built on, obviously that is a part of that is Ryan Johnson's doing, but The Last Jedi is the most visually pleasing movie out of the sequel trilogy, and the best performances out of all the actors came from Ryan Johnson's movie. Episode 7, like they're not doing a bad job, but they're not, like Mark Hamill puts in a once in a generation performance in The Last Jedi. Just absolutely incredible. Darth Jar Jar. I mean, Ahmed Best, I was super happy to see him like get his congratulations and stuff like that for being in the episode of The Mandalorian. Just, I mean, I got like fucking emotional just seeing him in it, even before like I was seeing people's like reactions to it. I watched it on my phone like in bed at like 7 a.m, and I was like, damn, I'm like kind of tearing up here a little bit. But then I want to talk about Hera here for like a quick second, because I think that putting the goggles and stuff like that on her, it's a good look, because Twi'leks are kind of hard to nail in live action because they usually look a little bit wonky. In my opinion, I would give Johnson a second chance to make another Star Wars movie. JJ got a second shot, another Star Wars movie, and still failed. Yeah, I mean, like I would be down to watch that Ryan Johnson trilogy. Honestly, I think that he could probably make something good. I quite enjoy Ryan Johnson's other movies. I like Glass Onion and Knives Out. Very solid. How's it JJ's fault if Ryan didn't see the end results? That's on record and public fact. His dumbass completely shit on everything that came before him, both original trilogy and prequels. I don't think that Ryan Johnson shit on the stuff in the prequels. It's JJ's fault because he wrote the screen treatment for Episode 7 and came up with like some loose ideas for what Episode 8 and Episode 9 like could be. And he wrote Luke Skywalker's Jedi Order to have already been killed off. Luke has already run away and stayed on this planet. The only thing he could do was expand on that train of thought. That's really the only option he had. Like, you couldn't write a script where, Luke hadn't done all the things that had happened to Luke per J.J. Abrams Episode 7. He couldn't write a movie that just like pretended like those things didn't happen. Like, they wrote him into a corner in the fact that Luke was a failure. He was just this generation's Obi-Wan. Like, I don't blame that necessarily on Ryan Johnson. And I mean, J.J. Abrams clearly tried to make Episode 8 and Episode 9 just an Episode 9. But I mean, like going back to like the sequel trilogy actors and where they could go from here is, I think that it would be I want these characters to be able to get their time to shine. Like I want to be able to see Daisy Ridley and John Boyega and Oscar Isaac enjoy being in Star Wars, because they seemed like they were so hyped to be in the films originally. Like they didn't see, like they clearly got beaten down by like the fandom and stuff like that. Ryan didn't shit on the prequels. He defended them in some tweets. Yeah, like I mean, like I don't think that Ryan Johnson, he's never on record like having like, talk shit on the prequels, and J.J. Abrams clearly did not like the prequels. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts to that. But this stuff, like people think that it's like the world between worlds. I don't think that that's what that's supposed to be. I think that this is going to be like a Jedi map room of some description. As I said before, I hate both JJ and Ryan equally. So no matter what happened, both of them are responsible for the mess of the sequels. Look, man, I would say that I blame JJ Abrams still more than I blame Ryan. But I mean, I agree the sequels are a huge fucking mess. How good The Force Awakens is as a movie was always contingent upon the following movies. Yeah, that is accurate. And Episode 8 is like a huge departure, like even visually. Like it's a much more grim, dank, dark looking film than Episode 7 was. But I feel like if they would have done the Colin Trevorrow Episode 9, that probably would have been pretty good. And they didn't do that, and we got whatever the fuck Episode 9 was. And yeah, it was just what J.J. Abrams wanted the Episode 8 to be, so he could like do a slam dunk for everything. And that movie just failed in so many different areas. But this whole scene, people were theorizing that it's like the world between worlds. I think that this is supposed to be like a map room. I don't think that it's actually going to be the world between worlds. And people really deluded themselves into thinking that this was going to retcon the sequel trilogy. That was never going to happen. Like, let's just be real. Like, that was just never going to happen. There's actually a great YouTube video talking about how JJ hated the prequels and tried to write an anti-trilogy. I'll link it to you in Discord. We should watch it on stream sometime. I'm down, dude. I'm totally down. But the Ahsoka show, I will say, it looks at least interesting. I'm excited to see like what they might do with Thrawn. And I mean, like I've mentioned a million times so far, is I want Luke to be involved. And I know I feel like Disney might want to do the CGI AI voice Luke like they did in Book of Boba Fett, because like they think that they've got like that technology kind of like proven. And I don't think that it's totally nailed down. I do think that it is it's still a little wonky. Like Luke, realistically, in the second season of The Mandalorian towards the end, his face does look fucked in that season. But the moments were very, very like, it's very, very solid. But I mean, Disney, of course, they're going to like do everything to make money. Like that's the whole point of them running a business, is not to make like these nerdy films. Like they want to make money. And so like that's why we had that big, emotional moment in The Mandalorian season 2 where Din Djarin has to let Grogu go. And then Disney was like, oh, wait, all these boomer Facebook moms, they actually like this character and they post all these memes. We got to keep Grogu in here somehow. And so he goes to Luke's Jedi Academy, and Luke's mostly just doing the exact same thing that the prequel era Jedi were by So Uncivilized. I feel like maybe I've seen that one then. Just DM'd it to you, a link to the video. Okay, sick. I'll vet that before we watch it. Well, I'm gonna be doing another Barb's Basement stream at some point this week for sure. But I think they can go a lot of interesting places with the Ahsoka show, and I just hope that I'm more inclined to enjoy the Rebels stuff than I am the TCW stuff, because the TCW stuff just tramples all over Legends in a way that just is completely irreconcilable. Ultimately, JJ and RJ are the two artists hired to do a job. I think they both care about Star Wars, but did a poor job. Kathleen Kennedy gets a lot of weird crap, but a lot of it is deserved. And Bob Iger sucks. That's his name. Couldn't think of it. What do you think the sequel should have been about? The Imperial Remnant versus the New Republic, like in Legends, or the New Republic fighting to restore government amidst the chaos with a variety of threats? Kind of like what I was thinking what it would be was sort of like an Imperial. I mean, to be fair, First Order is sort of a version of an Imperial Remnant, and they're definitely painted like in that way in The Force Awakens to be a splinter group, like a small threat out there, like in the unknown regions. Who really knows what they're up to? And then throughout the span of one movie, they're the brand new galactic government. Like we got no like in the prequels, we had a lot of time to learn what the Republic was, to see like, a lot of like the senators and to see the opulence of Coruscant. And we never get that in the sequel trilogy at all. Like we never see like what the wider state of the galaxy is. I feel like we get a lot of that in the prequels. We're seeing a lot of different planets and a lot of different alien species and stuff like that involved. In the sequel trilogy, the world building is just all over the place. Like it's not great. It's completely clean, no yelling or cursing anything. He talks in a soft tone, just pointing out, okay, gotcha. That Luke and Grogu scene where Luke makes him choose upset me because I really liked the whole scene up until that point. I mean, like that was a pretty sweet moment. Like it is adorable. Like, look, baby Yoda Grogu is just adorable. He's just a little goober out there being a goober. Like I'm not gonna fault anyone for like thinking that Grogu's cute because he is. The fucker's like designed to be cute. And I loved when Luke was walking along with him and he's lifting him up with the Force to like help him keep up with him. I just think that's like a great little moment. The desert, they should have taken Heir to the Empire, reworked it a bit to fit into the prequels, and moved from there. I'm guessing you mean from the sequels? Yeah, I can confirm. I've seen that video that Mindset shared. It's very thoughtful and professional, not angry, and I don't recall any swearing. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's like I always want to like make sure that I'm not watching some like fandom menace shithead, making their stuff. And that's like another thing that I've kind of been like struggling with recently is I don't want to be just like the bitter old aging Star Wars fan. Like I don't want to like if people enjoy the sequels, I legitimately want them to have that. Like I know people who enjoy the sequels and they actually think a great time with episode 7, 8, and 9, and they enjoy all the Disney stuff. And I honestly like I admire that. Like I wish that I had those same feelings, and I've been struggling with a lot with that recently is do I even like continue to watch like these shows as they come out? Like do I continue to cover them? Like I'm not like a news channel. I'm not a breaking like here's all the latest rumors in Star Wars type of guy. And I don't just want to make a bunch of content that's just like hate farming, like like farming hate clicks and stuff like that. I don't want to be associated with the Phantom Menace like in any way, shape, or form. I mean if something's good, I'll take it for what it is. But I'm interested to see how people will respond to Dave Filoni helming an entire movie, especially it being an Heir to the Empire spin-off type of thing. But that's the Tales of the Jedi stuff. I'm really hoping that we at least get one episode that's set around Exar Kun and Ula Caldroma, because if they're going to take the namesake and literally just copy and paste the logo from Tales of the Jedi, why not make one of those episodes a Tales of the Jedi episode about, it can be like 40 minutes long. You just do like a Clone Wars style animation of Exar Kun just being a big bad guy and Ula Caldroma like coming to terms like at the end of it, like he's no longer a Darksider and having that kind of like that redemption arc that like we actually see for that character in Legends. And there's a whole new generation of Star Wars fans out there who have never picked up a single Legends book. They're completely unfamiliar with the EU. And I think a lot of the people like maybe who are commenting on some of like the Star Wars stuff that's happening now are people who probably haven't even like realistically probably have never read an EU book either. Like they're just angry with like where Star Wars is at, and they like, oh, I read a bunch of EU books and I like the EU, but I don't necessarily believe that. Honestly, I would want a live action Clone Wars movie and a live action series inspired by X. I would take the X-Wing one. I mean, dude, like I was saying, wandering the desert. I am totally Clone Wars out. I do not need to see another thing set in that fucking time span for the rest of my goddamn life. I want to move past it. Dawn of the Jedi, I think, is gonna like be like a great way for them to. It's gonna be a whole new era of Star Wars. Like we could get animated shows set in that time period. We can get movies. We could get like books and stuff like that are set like around that same time period, because as far as I know, they're going to be exploring the creation of the first lightsabers and stuff like that. And I mean, there's a chance they could tie in some of that like that new lore built into some of like the new sequel stuff that we have coming up, I guess. But yeah, I mean, like I would want them to bring in some elements from the original Dawn of the Jedi stuff. If the main villains of the Dawn of the Jedi was the Rakata, the Infinite Empire in the background, like they're just like a constant kind of pseudo threat that the Jedi are having like they have to have a conflict with them, and the Jedi are like having that inner monologue where they're thinking, what if what if we use their tactics against them? Like we use the dark side sometimes, and we have to rehabilitate people maybe who fall. And what if we just use the dark side full force against these guys? And that's like how the bigger conflict of the story comes together is they beat the Infinite Empire, but where do they go from here? They've created all of like this death and destruction. Where do they go? Where do they go? Force imbued swords and proto sabers is in it. Hopefully, I mean, I would be fine with there being proto sabers, like I think they call them force sabers. I believe is like what they're called in the original Dawn of the Jedi stuff. I grew up on the old Phantom Menace EU and the original trilogy pre-special editions. Dude, shit. Pre-special editions. I couldn't tell you the last time like I saw like an original copy of one of the original trilogy movies. Damn. But the old Phantom, like that's also a very interesting time in Star Wars is people theorizing what the Clone Wars were prior to Episode 1 coming out. But yeah, I think that there's I'm trying to remain hopeful that I will enjoy these things. But, yeah, it just is what it is. Sorry, I don't mean to be such like a bummer, fellas. Like, I really don't mean to be such a downer on all these things, I want it to be fun. I want people to like it. And hopefully along the way, I'll learn to love some of it. But yeah, I'm positive that Snoke's going to be in the Ahsoka show and he's going to be the Jorah Sabayoth, and I believe that they're going to be building towards Thrawn being the guy who creates the First Order with the help of Snoke. I have all 3 theatrical movie versions on DVD. They're widescreen, but very much fun to watch. Yeah, there's like those like despecialized editions that they have on. I think that some people have those like on the internet and whatnot. If you look for them, you can find them. But yeah, I've also seen like all the leaks and stuff like that for all these other things. So kind of excited for that. So in the Ahsoka show, will the lightsaber duels be high quality and good? Most of the modern lightsaber fights were bad. Dude, that's not even an opinion. All of the lightsaber duels, like in all the most recent stuff, they've been hot garbage. Outside of like Luke showing up at the end of, well, it's not a lightsaber duel, but we get some good lightsaber fights and stuff like that, and some good lightsaber action in the Mandalorian season 2. But I mean, the lightsaber fight in The Force Awakens, the one between Rey and Kylo, it's visceral. Like it's not. They're both like mostly untrained, just like chopping wood. So I'm into that. Unfortunately, that's all Star Wars was made us to feel lately. Just bummed out because we know it could have been so much better. Yeah. The reason why I vote for the Clone Wars is to see more of the ships that were never translated to the movies, like the V-19, CW Y-Wings, Z-95 Headhunters. I mean, I've never like honestly. It's not even the space stuff. It's not like the space combat. It's not the clones. It's not the Mandalorians. None of that stuff is like the thing that has always interested me in Star Wars. It's always been space wizards with laser swords. Like honestly, it's not any deeper than that. Bring back Syndralik. I mean Nick Gillard. I mean, dude, I would be down to. I want to see some prequel level lightsaber duels, and I think that Dave Filoni will be giving us some of that in the Ahsoka show. At least I hope so. I hope that that's at least kind of what we're building towards there. But yeah, does anyone have anything else they want to talk about? It's a live action adaptation of something from the Clone Wars multimedia project, like the Republic comic series. Then yes. Oh, dude, I didn't even talk about the reason why this reminded me of that Fizzy is I didn't talk about the Jedi Survivor stuff. So that like big brutish looking dude, he's the same species as goddamn what Dirge. He's the same exact species. So that's gonna be interesting to see if he's like a weird like noodly man. And like there's the whole Battle of Jabim arc. I feel like could have been its own separate like Clone Wars style movie. Jedi, yeah. Yeah, is that what Dirge's species is called? It's been a while since I've even thought about Dirge. He's like he's in Disney canon fully now. Like he's like in the War of the Bounty Hunter stuff and the Bounty Hunters comic in general. But yeah, legitimately a horrifying. He's a horrifying villain, and yeah, he's pretty. Oh God, no, not Dirge's species. Do you not like Dirge, dude? Dirge is the shit. We saw some of the Jedi weird noodles for a brief second in the latest Jedi Survivor trailer. Yeah, I watched. Not a big fan of Fallen Order, honestly. Like if I'm being real. So I'm interested to see what they're going to be doing with the next one because I'm just going to make Zach play it and I'll have him give me his review as we're going along. Oh, I got it. My biggest Star Wars influence was more the military aspects, especially from the Old Republic, from the old X-Wing and the TIE Fighter PC games of old. Yeah, I totally get that. Like, I know that's like a lot of people's like a main thing with Star Wars, but yeah, my main love in Star Wars was always lightsabers and space wizards. Uh, yeah, Jendi named after Jendi Tartakovsky, the creator of the OG Clone Wars. Damn, dude, that's a fucking flex. He terrified me in the Clone Wars miniseries. I mean, come on. Fallen Order was mid. I agree, man. I think there's a lot of things in that game that I just outright hate. Brian's not a fan of Jedi Fallen Order because he's beta cuck. I mean, dude, like the amount. If they just got rid of all the backtracking back to your ship, I would like it. This shows up like this on my screen, but I appreciate the sentiment. We'll never get the game like the Jedi Knight series again, dude. Like if they just remastered those games, like not like they did with the Switch where they ported it and it's like sort of upscaled, but yeah, dude, I would be. That's another thing is like we're definitely gonna have Zach play through Jedi Knight Jedi Academy now. I got our capture card and all that shit figured out, so we'll actually be able to play it. I feel like half of the game was fucking slides. Do you mean like sliding across the ground, like going down like the ice trails and stuff like that? There's a lot of mechanics in there. Like you could see they had like 10 really solid, game mechanics. And that's all they went with through the entire thing. They were like, all right, we figured out those 10 things. We're not going to include anything else in this game. Yeah, not a big fan. The Jedi Knight series overall was a much better Jedi based video game. Hot take, but Jedi Fallen Order is my favorite Star Wars game that isn't KOTOR Battlefront. Have you played Jedi Knight Jedi Academy? Because it feels way better. I know you played Mysteries of the Sith like a lunatic, but yeah, I think that it's pretty solid stuff. Let's see here. I'm gonna click on Star Wars YouTube channel here. I'm subscribed to Star Wars' like main YouTube channel, I realized. Sorry, anytime I click on any of this shit, it just like kills my PC. I'm gonna pause this and click around on this. The Star Wars Visions is one that I actually am looking forward to because there's always, something to kind of look forward to. And Star Wars Visions, there's always something for everybody. But like this main animation here, it's the same studio that did the fucking Spider-Man movie, Into the Spider-Verse. So would you have brought the Sith back for the sequels or something different? I think the Knights of Ren had potential, but they weren't fleshed out at all. I mean, the Knights of Ren like could have been very solid if they actually. I quite like the Knights of Ren in the new canon stuff they've actually made for it because they're not meant to be like this big bad villain in the galaxy. They're not meant to be like an answer to the Sith. They're like a roving band of dudes who just do what they want. They're interesting in the expanded material, just not in the movie. Got to try Dark Forces 2 and Jedi. Dark Forces 2, God, it's been a long time. I have played every Dark Force Jedi Knight game, but I never beat Outcast. I mean, to be fair, Outcast is the most difficult game ever made. You probably like Survivor then, Brian. There's fast travel back to the ship. Dude, that will be like, a shot of morphine in a wound for me, really. Final level at Mystery of the Sith was a nightmare. I think that Skooma said that he had to use cheat codes for it. Misa, you're not into Visions, man. Like, I feel like out of all the things that are coming into Disney stuff, like, Visions is the one that I'm definitely the most hyped for, I think. I mean, look at this. Like, this shot looks like crazy, dude. Is that a katana lightsaber? That is sick as hell. Yeah, that's dope, dude. That is sick. Visions has been pretty solid. And, like again, like, they're short enough that even if it's something that you're not enjoying, like you can just skip right to the next one. But yeah, there's like a lot of. I like the diversity of animation styles and the. Is this by the same studio that did Coraline? The Duality of Man. Oh gosh, the Temple on Drummond Cost was a nightmare. No, not at all. And you know how much I love anime. Yeah, I know you're a weeb. There's like a few episodes in Visions, like the bunny girl one, like where she's like found family and stuff like that. That one got me right in the heartstrings. This one looks sick as hell though. There's a claymation short with this dude that made Wallace and Gromit. How can you hate that? Cheese, Gromit. Cheese. Yeah. I'm down for all of these. Yeah, these look sick as hell, dude. I'm into them. We forgot the crackers. Yeah, I'm into the look of all these guys. Yeah, I mean, it's just easy to digest fun. You know what I mean? What else do we have here that happened at everyone's favorite Kathleen Kennedy? She gets like a weird amount of hate that I don't really understand. Oh wait, hold on here, Skooma. The new Vision season isn't anime exclusive. They've dropped that actually. It's just by different animation studios all over the world. I am down. We've forgotten the Wookiee cookies, Grambaka. I will say this: I don't mind the first episode so much, but the fucking spinning umbrella lightsaber Wi-Fi. I mean, it's meant to be ridiculous. It's meant to be ludicrous and like kind of fun. It's not meant to be taken like too seriously. They did write a whole book about that character. Like they wrote, God, what is it, Ronin or whatever? What else do we have here? I just don't give a shit about the Bad Batch. Like you can't make me, you can't make me care about it. I just don't, and I never will. Mary Poppins, y'all. Yeah. I mean, it's good fun. It's all in good taste. The Andor stuff, I wish I cared about that too. Kennedy gets the hate because she's in charge of Star Wars and everything that happened to it. I mean, to be fair, she's even in charge of the things that are good. The Mandalorian season 1, Mandalorian season 2, the Clone Wars season 7. She's still like responsible for those as well. Like I just think that a lot of people put a lot of things on her, even though the good things that have come out of current Disney canon are also, on her as well. Jesus. StreamYard just like kills my computer anytime I'm clicking on a video here. Any new Star Wars video game that are looking forward to? I'm interested in Eclipse since it's set in the end of the High Republic era. Opening has a lot of potential story. Dude, I maintain the High Republic stuff is good. The High Republic stuff I'm into. Eclipse, as far as I know, isn't that game like in development hell? Like it's not going to exist for a while now. And the fucking lightsaber, the whole point of this saber reacting is to make it easier to carry and conceal. The scabbard completely defeats the point. Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah. I thought Eclipse got postponed for like 3 years or something. I know that they were like hiring new employees because, same thing happened with the KOTOR remake. I feel like Disney's, well, not just Disney, but Lucasfilm overall has like made a lot of mistakes where they have announced things that are nowhere near coming out and then they get dropped. Like that Taika Waititi movie, like I think there was a little bit of news about that it was still being written, and like the new Jedi Order script is like still 6 weeks out from being complete, is what they say. And writing lines of dialogue for scripts as somebody who's written some, pretty difficult. Isn't even canon, dude. Calm down. I mean, I get where Myzet's got a lot of opinions on the cross guards, and he's big into the lightsaber world, but yeah, the non-canon stuff, like I'm cool with them doing whatever they want. Like as long as it's entertaining. I didn't like that Tatooine Rhapsody episode, which I know that Skooma really fucking loved that episode. But I'm like bringing it all back around. I hope that something happens in these that I like. I'm really hoping that the Jedi Survivor game is good, because if it's good, I'll enjoy watching Zach play it. I think we got a winning setup with Zach doing the gameplay while I sit here and talk shit, So, and again, they're bringing in, like, Star Wars and Lucasfilm are very hyped with. They must love the way the High Republic is going, because they're really diving deep into it. I'm big on fictional weaponry, even in fantasy, enhances the lore. I get where you're coming from. Or if they reintroduce the new Jedi Order with Vong and do a timeline reset, I'm gonna be pissed. They're definitely not doing a timeline reset. That's never happening. I remember when those rumors started spreading around, like in 2019, it was 2020, like is when, I think it's like Doomcock or whoever originally made like that first video. It's like, oh, they're retconning the entire, they've admitted the sequel trilogy is an objective failure and they're resetting the timeline with the world between worlds. No, they're not. They're just not. They like. I mean, to them, they're not embarrassed about the sequels. More than likely, they probably wish they did some things differently, but they made a shit ton of money. That's all they care about. Now they have everyone's Disney Plus money, and they have made out like bandits. You know, that's the if they introduce the Vong into the new Jedi Order movie, I'd be like, okay, fuck yeah, now let's get going. They do like an Alien versus Predator style movie set in the Star Wars universe, and Rey's like just trying to keep the galaxy together because there's these weird extragalactic monsters going on terraforming planets. That would be interesting. I mean, but the EU, the expanded universe, it's a bummer that it's like dying off. Like especially with them taking things from the EU, which is kind of like what everyone wanted them to do from the beginning, was they wanted them to take a lot of the elements from the EU and expand on them a little bit, maybe make them a little bit better. But we know we have the Dawn of the Jedi era now. We have the new Jedi Order era now. I mean, like when you go to Google those things or you go like on eBay to find something for that, it's always going to be the new stuff now. Brie Larson and George Lucas, two people who don't work at Lucasfilm in incapacity, are currently fighting for control of Lucasfilm. Yeah, fuck. Who is the Mike Zero? Damn, he's the other one. Do you see the fake leak of Rey is pregnant on Tatooine? Yeah, I saw that. I was like, what? That's clearly a doctored image. Rey would somehow force crush the entire Vong Empire somehow. I mean, I think that she definitely has struggles in the sequel trilogy. It's just not to an extreme state. She's not tried nearly as much as like Rey's trials in the sequel trilogy are things happening to people that she loves. And that's an issue because that's like you're fridging, essentially. You're fridging people, you know. Oh, well, yeah, Pregnant Rey was funny. Dude, people are like, oh, she's definitely going to be pregnant with Ben's kids. They're going to be Jason and Jaina or some shit. I'm like, dude, yeah, fucking right. That's never happening. I would be kind of upset if they did a storyline where Rey was in love with somebody or was like in a relationship with somebody. I kind of like the idea of like her picking up the Jedi mantle. Like I said, I'm open to New Jedi Order being good if it's something interesting at least. But yeah, there's gonna be like a lot of this is the most buzz that's been around Star Wars in a while. That's why I hate it. Kathleen said we have nothing to go off of. Then she pretends to steal from the EU like Dark Troopers that are a husk of what they were. Yeah, like I mean, even as somebody who doesn't have like a hate boner for Kathleen Kennedy, that was like the dumbest thing she could have said. Like, I mean, come on, like somebody should have told her like you're making a mistake saying this. This is like definitely the incorrect thing to be saying, because I mean they're definitely not blind to the online discourse of Disney canon stuff. I'm 100% with you. And that's why I'm so pissed with her. I mean, I believe there's more to that quote where she's like, well, you know, like we made our whole new timeline, stuff like that. So she like kind of justifies it, but yeah, like I know that one hurt me a little bit too. I was like, damn, there's so much to this universe prior to Disney owning it. And that's the other thing that I've come to realize is I'm just always going to be biased towards the EU. That's just what it is. What up, basement boys? RNG's, what's going on, my friends? We have a Jesus for Barb's Vault as well. What was his name? Air Jesus or something like that. Yeah, we're just discussing the new comings and goings of the Disney stuff. Another good one was we're going to treat these characters with respect. Then made 3 films about killing them all off. Yeah, that one's always a wild one. Han getting killed in episode 7, I think, was a pretty decent moment, I guess. Like I was mostly fine with that. But I mean, sadly, we lost Carrie Fisher prior to her actually being able to die in Star Wars. And yeah, Mark Hamill, like Luke Skywalker dying in episode 8, I really clocked out around that time period. I was like, yeah, shit, I don't care at all about this. I was like, well, maybe he's not dead. Maybe he just teleported or something. Disney Star Wars is a kick in the nuts to longtime fans. Yeah, I just think there's a lot of people who these days say they were longtime fans the whole time. And in reality, they just watch a bunch of like YouTube videos and stuff like that. There's nothing I hate more than a fake fan. What I actually mean is like there's nothing I dislike more than people who are using the YouTube videos they've watched to hate on actors and stuff like that. Honestly, I can make peace with it. I just wish that they'd acknowledge the EU authors in any capacity. There's no presence for them at Celebration. If you want to borrow, fine, but please pay respect. Yeah, totally, 100%. I don't care for it if it's fan service. I think that the OT gang should have been reunited. I don't care. Yeah, like that's ridiculous. Like if I mean, because there's so many like think piece articles and shit like that, like BuzzFeed, fucking wherever the hell, where people are like, oh well, this Star Wars isn't about fan service. Like, dude, shut the fuck up. Another thing I hate more than a Revan fanboy who only watches YouTube videos about Revan and never touched an Old Republic game. Yeah, even as a Star Wars: The Old Republic apologist, yeah, the mythos around Revan it's a pretty interesting little one, but yeah, I just think that there's a lot of things that Disney could be doing better. Bro, name dropping Heir to the Empire was mad disrespectful. I mean, the thing that made Heir to the name dropping of that so disrespectful was they like dropped all the sound effects happening in the background to be like, he's gonna be the heir to the Empire, you know. Stupendous wave moment, dude. Fucking holy shit! I forgot all about that, dude. You know what? At least Lando was. Yeah, it's true. They wheeled Billy D. Williams right out there. He was definitely awake for that movie. I do agree. If things got to be this way, at least pay respect to the older authors and not just Zahn. I mean, dude, Zahn's eating well, brother. He's doing great. I'm glad they still have him involved with Thrawn because he's such an integral part to like forming the original version of the expanded universe. You know, he was trusted with a lot of stuff. And hey, I will say, look, I'll say this about Disney. The one thing they really did well at Star Wars Celebration was not acknowledging Troy Denning's existence. Now, you know, I think that's a win for me in my book. That's a 100% a win. What's Stupendous Wave up to these days? Like, what kind of content's he making? Is Timothy Zahn overlooking Thrawn in the Ahsoka show? No, I don't believe so. I don't think they've actually like asked him to be involved at all, which is definitely a choice that they've made. Dave Filoni said that they're in contact with Zahn and that he wants to get the Thrawn right. I could swear I remember reading something where Timothy Zahn had said that they hadn't contacted him. I could have sworn that I read it recently, but it's a question of like who said it though, because you know I'm subscribed to a lot of like fucking weirdos on YouTube that maybe don't have journalistic integrity in mind, if you get what I'm saying. But yeah, I'm pro them not acknowledging Troy Denning's existence at Star Wars Celebration. There's something that Dave said a few days ago. Oh, okay, gotcha. This is a relatively new development. I was keeping track of those things as they were kind of happening. Like I wasn't watching like the live stream like feed or anything like that. Well, Filoni doesn't care about continuity at all. TCW did so much damage. Well, okay, to be fair, the Framinator, he didn't care about Legends continuity. He cared about his continuity. And fine. Fine, I guess. Yeah. And as somebody who like I don't know, the multimedia project I guess never hit me. Like I wasn't even aware of it until I was like probably like a senior in high school or something like that. Like I think that it just kind of totally passed me by because I moved away from like where it would have like the area that I was living in, like where it would have been shown on TV and stuff like that. Like I was just completely unaware of it. Just you wait, Brian. I'm going to buy Star Wars and decanonize everything but Denning books and put him in charge of all the continuity decisions. Dude, I can already smell the swampy bug sex scenes. Deadeye! Dude, what's going on? The new trilogy has potential. Every idea does. The question is, will Gen Pop like the idea enough? Will Gen population? Dude, Deadeye coming to you from the penitentiary, brother. Like the idea enough for the story to reach that potential. Yeah, I mean, like, like exactly like you're saying. But I've seen this earlier before you popped in here. Any idea can be made good. Any idea could be written to be well, to be received well. To be fair, a lot of the TCW writers were EU fans, but George Lucas wanted to do something new. Change the Mandalorian lore was his idea. He told them not to be beholden to the EU. Yeah, and that's I said somebody like comment on one of our things earlier today where they were saying that they're like, oh, they should have consulted George Lucas and like done something with the EU and stuff like that. I'm like, all of his treatments would have decanonized the expanded universe as well. Like if he made episodes 7, 8, and 9. The EU still would have been gone. It still would have been game over for the EU. OG6, but with more bugs. Yeah, I'm on record like as hating Troy Denning for a long time now. Even like towards the end of the expanding universe's life cycle, like there was a lot of weird choices they were making, a lot of bizarre choices. Yeah, but Dead, I appreciate you stopping by, brother. It's been a while since I've been able to see you in the streams and stuff like that. By the way, guys, if you're in the stream and you haven't liked the stream yet, go like that for me because YouTube they need that to be a thing for them. Yeah, that's something that like we have not really done a lot of. Like we don't tell people to like our videos. Luke, Han, and Leia, bug sex orgy, baby. I mean, the Killick are heavily involved in the SWTOR MMO, so maybe I could have romanced a little insect monster there somewhere. Maybe I could have gotten some knuckles in there. But yeah, I think that people's understanding of like George Lucas's involvement with the EU it's a bit all over the place. Skooma, how dare you, brother? But go like the stream. That's something we always got to bring up from now on. But George wouldn't have made the sequels. He was done with Star Wars. I would have been much more happier with the EU books and the comics still being a thing over the cursed timeline. Yeah, but I mean, like, I think that one thing that you got to keep in mind is that, I mean, I don't know George Lucas, and I think that a lot of the people on the one thing that really fucking bugs me so much is when all these Star Wars YouTubers say shit like, well, George would have done this, this, and this. And I'm like, stop referring to George Lucas like you know the guy personally. Like, shut up. But he wanted the people that worked at Lucasfilm to continue to have a job. And if he wasn't going to make the Star Wars movies, he knew that, those people would all be unemployed because Lucasfilm wasn't making any money. To answer your question bluntly, the hope I would have for the new trilogy was extinguished long before it was announced. The only thing I'm interested in is the Dawn, Tales, and Mando movie. Yeah, are you liking the Mandoverse stuff? I'm very interested in the Dawn of the Jedi stuff. I think that there's a lot of good stuff that they could cover in that, and I'm wondering if I want to see the Sith species introduced to Star Wars Disney canon stuff, because that's one of I don't really love Kevin J. Anderson stuff that much. Like Tales of the Jedi, I like the Exar Kun Ulu Cal Drama stuff. Don't necessarily like the stuff that came previous to that in the Tales of the Naga State Out stuff. I wasn't super into, but I would love to see some of the weirder elements of the EU brought back in, because the EU was a bit weird. Like it was like a cool, weird little story. There was like a lot of weird shit that happened in it. The Sith species are actually canon again. What bullshit? Really? I gotta look this up. Oh boy. Star Wars. Oh boy. Sith. Goddamn. Typing on this keyboard at an angle. Sith species. Boom. Let's see here. We'll go to Wikipedia, I guess. Wait, are they canon? What? The Sith were red-skinned species with tentacles, susceptible to using the dark side of the Force. They shared their name with the Sith, the religious order, Force. Yeah. Where does this come into play? The Sith, as a species, were canonically mentioned in the Star Wars workbook, third grade. My God, what a bullshit way to introduce them. Oh man. Oh, they were in Dr. Aphra? Dude, I gotta get caught up in Dr. Aphra. I actually enjoyed Dr. Aphra quite a bit. Damn, dude. I guess I didn't realize. Shit, me talking on my ass, I suppose. Huh. Oh, shit. Dropped something off my desktop here. I'm going to stop sharing this screen for a second so I can get out of it without destroying my computers. He thought he put the franchise in competent hands. Whether or not he was right is up to the audience to decide, but Avi, I don't think that he was. I mean, yeah. Let the dude do his thing. Orbalisk armor. Now make a YouTube short about it. Yeah, buddy. Gotta pump up those views, dog. Gotta get those sweet, juicy views. Yeah, sorry. There's something about StreamYard, like whenever I bring up an internet tab, it just destroys my broadband connection. Mando is serviceable, a bit unstable right now, but serviceable, very mediocre. I think that Mandalorian season 1 had a lot of good shit going for it. I think that it had a lot of good areas to go with, and Din Djarin's the Iron Man of Star Wars now. He's the guy bringing all the universe together. But yeah, dude, I think we're kind of done making shorts on YouTube at this point. You know, I think that it's gonna make some long form content, see how shit goes, and we're not focused so much on the growth of Barb's Basement anymore because you know there's so many people doing it. It's just kind of like all you know, kind of all over the place. So why try to force it? We're just going to do what we like to do with it and have a good time. We're not so much going to try and like you know become the next Star Wars theory or some shit. Mando season 1 was great. Haven't watched the rest though. Dude, keep that same energy because if you keep doing it like that, dude, no harm will come to you, brother. It's it doesn't get a shit ton better, I'll say that. I think that season 2 of The Mandalorian had its moments, but it definitely wasn't the best thing since sliced bread. You know what I mean? Kevin J. Anderson doesn't really understand how the Force works, in my opinion. His take on Ulick and Kuhn's respective faults of the dark side made no sense. Ulick had a spell cast on him, or he was drugged. I've always had like a weird relationship with Kevin J. Anderson stuff. I think that Mando season 1 could have been way cooler if they didn't continue with the baby. If it was just about like I thought that's where they were going with it, and turns out it wasn't. Something that showed up on the Jedi Practice Team Discord, they're holding a fan story contest May the 4th. Yeah, I gotta plug that somewhere. Because like Zim, I definitely want you to enter that shit. I want you to get some recognition for your hard work. If the Mando story wasn't backstabbed in Book of Boba, I think we could have had a better story. I don't know what the deal is with that. Like I think my theory is that they already had some scenes and stuff like that written for Book of Boba Fett, or sorry, for Mandalorian season 3, and they just slotted that. I'm assuming that filming during COVID had something to do with the production of those shows. That's my assumption. You know, yeah, that's at least where I think they were going with it. But I don't know. Are we getting a Book of Boba Fett season 2? Is that something that's like in the works at all? Have they talked about that? I don't know if I even watched that. Oh Lord, Boba had me dying of cringe. Like a bantha. That was definitely, yeah. And I'm not even like a Boba Fett fanboy who was like, oh my god, this is my Boba Fett. Like Boba Fett is like comically idiotic in the original trilogy. He only does one thing. He just falls directly into the mouth of a Sarlacc. God, I hope we aren't. Dude, that one was fuck, dude. Like Zach and I, we were watching it week to week for a minute there, and there was one week where like Zach texted me and he was like, should we even continue to look at this? Like, is this something we should even care about? Vespa Street Kids, baby. I will say this about Book of Boba Fett. They did put Thundercat in it. He's the dude that does all of like the cyborg parts for people. And fucking love Thundercat. Excellent musical artist. But his full name is Roberto Fettuccini, and you know that. We are getting a second Book of Boba Fett season, and a Bad Batch is getting a third and final season. So Delta Squad better appear in it. Didn't Delta Squad show up already in Bad Batch? Right? I can appreciate wanting Jedi Sith/Sith spectacle, but a down and dirty story is appreciated every now and then, like Republic Commando. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that's kind of where I thought the Mandalorian was going, was, you know, spaghetti western gunslinger type thing, and we ended up just. I mean, I can understand like they struck gold with that character and with that show, so I understand like why they're doing it. I don't think that they confirmed a second season of Boba. I mean, I want Tom Morrison to like have, you know, his moment in the sun. The worst of the show was at the end where he's like, "Oh, maybe I don't want to be the ruler." My big issue with the show was like, dude, could you please stop taking off your fucking helmet? Only Scorch. Sorry, I meant there are rumors about the second season of Book of Boba Fett, not confirmed. Only Scorch. He's one of the. Scorch canonically died in Bad Batch. Wait, really? Damn, dude. I wonder how Tad feels about that. I'm sure that hurts his spirit. Tad and I are going to do a stream relatively soon. There's a gentleman that Skooma knows that I'm going to try and work out a date where we could all hop on a call and talk about some of the deeper things in the expanding universe that maybe some people are maybe have some misconceptions on, and I want to talk about that Star Wars show that Lucasfilm had made a pilot episode for, like test footage for, the Star Wars Underworld. Yeah. Yeah, Tad stream Pog. Dude, I fucking love Tad. I feel like we always have good deep conversations. Scorch it and die. He's just messing around. Okay. I see. Prison Escape in the first season that the command was Scorch. So wait, is he dead? Dude, I don't remember a single thing from that first season of the Bad Batch. I don't know. I just didn't care about the Bad Batch. Bobo wants to be the benevolent mayor of Mos Espa, but he wants to call himself a criminal gangster for some reason. That's I still think that I blame Robert Rodriguez for that. I feel like is that like a weird take for me to have? Like just disliking Robert Rodriguez's stuff. I legitimately have not enjoyed any of these movies. Being in film school, I think that like maybe like I developed like a chip on my shoulder about him because people were like, "Oh, Robert Rodriguez is like the man," and I just didn't see it. I just never understood it. I've never seen Spy Kids. Okay, so don't sue me. All right, I didn't grow up with Spy Kids. I have no idea what the hell's going on in that. So yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of did grow up with that. Like I think I was sort of in the demographic for that movie. But yeah, I need to get caught up maybe on the Bad Batch stuff. Like there's a part of me that feels like, should I just have to watch these things because I have a Star Wars channel, or do I want to watch them? You know, is it something that I desire? Yeah, I know Scorch was in it, and it's bad enough he got beat by the Bad Batch. I'm assuming is what you're saying. Bad Batch are so terrible. They're just caricatures. I hate how quirky and strange Omega is. One of the worst things in Disney Star Wars. I mean, I thought that she was like pretty adorable, like in that first season, but I know that a lot of people, like we have some of our friends, like some of my YouTube friends, ADHD. They have streams and stuff like that they do over there. They really hate that Sid character. They're like, "Holy shit! I just want this lady to be dead." I hear a lot of criticism for Troy Denning in the Denningverse, but I haven't read any of his books. So what has he done that you hated? I think that he just completely disregarded all of Jaina Solo's character arc. He's very edgy, and he's a lot of the books that he had done, I feel like just completely roll back a lot of the character development that a lot of those people had in previous books. People forget about like that last like couple of years that the EU was still around. Like people forget it was kind of fucking all over the place. Bad Batch is supposed to be the elite of the elite. But I think that isn't like the Bad Batch like the elite of the elite too. They're like super mutants kind of. For lore reasons, it's awful. Yeah, agree with Ferminator. Hated them when they first appeared. The only Bad Batch character I liked is Crosshair. Is it because he's just like the most villainous dude? Sergio Ruiz. Sergio. Commandos are, but they aren't invulnerable to friendly fire. Yeah. I mean, because the Bad Batch are like kind of like going around just like doing like the A-Team, right? Kind of. Like where was she in Attack of the Clones with Boba? Like what? Wait, who are we talking about now? Who did I lose the thread here? But yeah, the Troy Denning stuff. I had issues with him like even back before Disney even purchased Lucasfilm. I would like read his books because I was a teenager or like fresh in college. So I would very frequently just read them because I had the time to like read a Troy Denning book. I always hated him. He wrote like a couple that were okay. Like weirdly enough, like he wrote some of the better stuff in the Legacy of the Force stuff, I suppose, if memory serves. Mainly because Crosshair kind of has an arc and his episodes were the most interesting. I get that. Oh, you're talking about Omega. I mean, what were you asking? Like, where she would be at in Attack of the Clones? Because, like, my understanding is, like, wouldn't she be like 1 in Attack of the Clones? Right? She'd be like relatively young. A female clone of a male for some reason. I mean, dude, they got genetic tampering. Like, if you can like deal with the idea that they can clone the same guy over and over again, I can understand that they would be able to swap the gender. Omega. But yeah, I mean, like, maybe I should give that show like another fair shake. I thought Scorch was cool in the first season. He challenged the Bad Batch to a 1v4 and took down 2 of them and then tanked multiple stun shots before going down. I will say this. His armor looks sick as shit as somebody who's only tangentially aware of or cares about the Delta Squad, you know? Sorry, I just got a notification. I got a comment on that video. I want to make sure that I'm reading it right. Ooh. My site, what's going on here? Okay, no. I was misreading that. I thought that you were going to war with somebody in the comment section of that video. Do you have a story idea? After the end of the Galactic Civil War, a former Imperial naval officer decides to go into business with some of the old Navy buddies. Part 1 of 2. Zim, I love that you're making fan fiction, dude. Mark 1 clone armor is the best of that era. I would agree. I think that it's a good, sleek look. If only we had gotten a proper Republic Commando or Imperial Commando show. I wonder if I could have convinced my boy Tad to enjoy that if we got an Imperial Commando or Republic Commando show. Remember after Karen Travis, sorry. Remember after Karen Travis' last Legacy of the Force book when Jaina had been buddy with the Mandalorian and then Denning in the first chapter of Invincible just undoes all of that and said that she hated her. Wait, I'm sorry. I'm like having dyslexia, a dyslexia moment here. Jaina had been buddy with the Mandalorian, and then Denning in the first chapter of Invincible just undoes all that and says that she hated them. Maybe that sentence was just a little bit weirdly structured, and that's why I couldn't read it. But I mean, yeah, honestly, I'm kind of on Denning's side about that because it's so random that Jaina and Boba Fett just start hanging out. Like, I feel like there's a lot of insertion of the Mandalorians where they really didn't belong. Who was I warring with? No, I misread the comment. Sith armor, Jedi armor, clone Mark 1 armor. That's my order. I prefer the stock standard Jedi robes. Sorry, that is my bad. She hated the Mandos. Do you mean Jaina hated the Mandos? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, that's the Legacy of the Force. That whole, he has a run of, I believe it was 9 books. Like some of the authors that were writing in that series, it seems like they hated one another at points. Can't decide if they should go into fighting, into freight hauling with their old ship, dreadnought, heavy cruiser, and then become mercenaries. That's the kind of fan fiction that I would like to read because it's not like you're not like writing like a Grey Jedi into existence, you know? It's more about like the logistics of a fledgling empire. Dude, I would even like be cool with them going into the far future, having Imperial Knights. That's like kind of what I wanted. Selfishly, I wanted Star Wars Legacy to be what the sequel trilogy would have been. Have them run into the Black Sun. Is the Black Sun still around? Because I could have sworn that Darth Maul destroyed all of them, like in one of the prequel era comics. At least I thought, if memory serves, I thought that was the Black Sun. They killed like a pretty decent amount of them if memory serves. If memory serves. Again, my brain is a little melty, so don't quote me on that. Brian, I'm going to force you to read the fanfiction I wrote for the Star Wars Expanded Universe short story contest 2 years ago. It's 3 pages, dude. I'm down. We have the fanfiction slot in the Discord, right? I believe we do. So I thought we did. They were prominent in the original trilogy, though. Speaking of fan fiction, I'm making a book in Kathleen's Canny 500 years after the sequels. That would be interesting. I think that they should have gone completely way past the original 3. The Black Sun. Okay, so was that Shizor? He was in charge of the Black Sun, right? Who am I thinking of? That Maul fucked up. If you're going off of EU, Prince Xizor was the last prominent leader, but then they just remain a massive shadow organization across the galaxy. Framer, this would be after the Pelion gave her some treaty, which is also after Xizor was killed. Our boy Xizor, like the dude that could woo anybody just by having some fragrance to him, you know what I mean? There's just some like the weirder elements in the EU that I was like, maybe we should remove this some of these implied scenes with Xizor and Leia, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. because I think that he's in Disney canon now too. I believe, like at least I remember seeing him like in the frame of maybe one of the War of the Bounty Hunters comics. He's also maybe in Crimson Reign, I believe. I only just barely keeping up with the Disney canon era comic books, so take that for what it is. I'm still like in the process of trying to collect all of the Star Wars Expanded Universe comics. I need to track down. I want to go all Dark Horse. Not. I don't want to pick up a lot of the original Marvel stuff, and a lot of that shit's like really hard to find, anyways. I don't care for a lot of that. We got Lumaya, and that's acceptable. I'll take that, but the rest of it, don't really care. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I want to collect. Missing like 1 or 2 issues of Dark Times. Want to get that. Like my comic book, you can see by like the state of my shelf back here, it's only getting worse. You know what I'm saying? It's only getting more and more weight on it. Black Sun is canon and it's ruled by the Fallen, but I don't think that Zizor is canon. Fact check that for me. I remember seeing the Fallen like in the background of one of those comics. I just assumed that it was Zizor, however you pronounce his name. Zizor. If the Sith spirit attaching to an infant training him, it's a few years after another Mandalorian war because of course, so on and so forth. I like that. I like the idea of that. That's a good idea. I mean, you got to have a good Sith possession story. Shizor. I'm gonna trust you, especially since I still can't pronounce Padme's name correctly every single time. I gotta take a shot at it a few times before it actually sticks. But yeah, before we wrap up, remember saw someone going off about crossguard sabers, how they don't fit into the world and why they aren't standard weapons of the Jedi if they're functional. I had a great comeback on how is that what was going on in the comment section there? That's how they said it in the Shadows of the Empire game, I think. Shizor. Padme Armadillo. But yeah, before we wrap up here, anything anybody else wants to talk about? XD. Yeah, but I'm going to stream again at some point this week. Maybe we'll just do like another boys hangout like we're doing right now, you know? It doesn't need to be like gaming related. We could just do like a quick hang. Discuss some more of like the comings and goings of the Disney canon stuff. No, separate conference. Okay, gotcha. But yeah, it's getting a little bit late here. The old wife, the love of my life, Kylie, she's got to go to bed early. And if I'm like creeping into the room like at 1 a.m, you know, boys hot tub hangout. I mean, Zach's got a hot tub and he loves that thing, and I fucking hate hot tubs. I like crossguard lightsabers even before the sequels came out. I mean, I'm into them. I still need to get the Thrawn Trilogy Comics Epic book, the Epic Collection, dude. Those go for a ton of money on eBay now. I should have just bought them ahead of time. I'm gonna be heading to Fargo in a couple of days for my cousin. Dude, hell yeah, Mazel tov to your cousins. Hot tub hangout stream, dude. We can get in on the meta. You know, we'll do a Twitch stream and we can be in the hot tub talking. Crossguard lightsabers were in the EU Clone Wars. They were. Who? Send me a DM me that. If the design was better, I'd love the functional crossguard saber. I love the idea of them. Yeah, they're pretty. I'm into them. But yeah, so I'm thinking that maybe I'll be streaming with Tad this Sunday, I believe. Expect to see something go out. I believe that's like kind of what we're trying to do there. But yeah. The omnibus is up for pre-sale right now if you need a copy. That's what I'll have to do because the Epic Collection is. Dude, people are selling that thing for like $300 or some shit. Lunacy. Make me a rough sketch of the crossguard saber on my site. Yeah. But yeah, until I believe that the Sunday stream is like for sure happening, but I'll get it scheduled so you guys can see it, and we'll go from there. But love you boys, appreciate you. Make sure you come and you stay, hang out for the outro song there, and we'll see you next time. Peace.